So what I'm going to do to start with is just, well, let's say we are given a line segment, okay? Let's say it's actually drawn, right? And this line segment has two coordinates. Let's say it's at 4, 6 would be 1 point, and let's say it's 7, 9. Okay? So we've got a line segment. You know what I mean by line segment? Because a line goes on forever, it doesn't stop, and a segment of a line has two endpoints. So, just out of interest, if I asked you for the gradient of that line, you would say?
3 over...
So we're going from 4 to...
7. 3 over...
4 to 7, so 3. Okay.
Right.
And then we've got from 6 to 9,
Which is 3.
okay, which is 3. Okay, so we've got 3 over 3, which equals 1. Now, if I just do this a sec, just to show that's 3, isn't it? That's the distance of 3. That's the distance of 3 as well. Just drawing that. You know, we've done that triangle a lot. So I said to you, what's the distance between those 2 points? So I'll call them P and Q. So what's the distance between P and Q?
1.
Why would you say 1? Okay, so the gradient, you're saying it might be the gradient. It's not, but worthwhile saying. It does link with the gradient, which is why I asked you to do it. What shape have I just drawn? Right angle triangle. It's a right angle triangle where I know that 2 sides are 3 and 3, and I want to know this one. So yes, Pythagoras' theorem.
We have to use
Okay, now what I will say, this is Pythagoras' theorem at its simplest. There's nothing other than use it basically, because it's always going to be the hypotenuse that you need to find. So just remember, so we've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Just to say, c squared has to always be the hypotenuse. Okay? Always. I was doing this in my year 11s, we were checking on Pythagoras' theorem, and when they had to work out the hypotenuse, it's fine, but as soon as they had to work out one of the shorter sides, they got it wrong, because they just chucked, hey, it's a subtract. Yeah?
That's easy.
Good, I'm glad you said so. So what we do, we chuck it in, we've got 3 squared plus 3 squared. You happy with that? So the 3 and the 3, and that equals c squared.
Which is?
Okay. So we've got 9 plus 9.
Which is 18.
So c is the square root of 18. Now, I know, well, I was told that you have done CERT.
No,
We did it a tiny bit at the end of the year.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't mean we intellectually remember.
That's right.
SARS.
I was told you have done it, so I'm going to go through it now. So basically, with this answer, before I go on to this, is everyone happy that the square root of 18 is the answer? Right? If you had your calculator, maybe you'd be asked to give it to 3 significant figures. So what would it be? So c would equal what? Square root of 18. You got your calculators?
Yes. Can you go on? Thank you.
4.5, you think?
Where are we?
Exactly?
Yes.
Obviously,
Yes. 4.50.
4.50. Exactly. Let's do a check. Let's see if you're right.
4.24264.
So if I've got 4.24, what do you say? 624?
26.
Is that the right answer?
No,
It's
so you
two and
switch
I was close.
So 4.2,
2, 4, 2, 4. Okay, 2, 4, 2, 6.
okay, now if I asked you for that number to 3 significant figures,
4.24.
would be 4.24. Good. Okay? Right. Now that is a rounded answer. It is not an exact answer. The exact answer is the square root of 18. However, because of our knowledge of surds, because it's in the course, you'll be expected to be able to simplify the square root of 18 potentially. Okay? So, is there anyone that knows already how to do it? So we've got the square root of 18. Is there anyone that feels confident to have a go at?
Yes.
Go on.
Isn't there like a rule where you can't have two like third things, or then it equals like a plane number?
Yep. Okay, 3 root of 60. No, I have no idea.
Okay, it's like 9
Oh,
root
wait,
2.
I have a question. That has
Okay,
to this. It's
2 root 9. It's not.
Okay, well, let's keep hold of these things. What's your question?
No, that's what I was going to say. Isn't it like you have to find two numbers that multiply together to that number and square root of it?
Okay, yeah. So what we're looking for is to break 18 into 2 factors. Okay? What we're looking for there, if we did 6 times 3, it doesn't help us.
Oh, I
Okay?
know how to do it.
Because what we're looking for is a number that we can square root. So this one doesn't help us. Right? So what we then try is, we think, what are the square numbers? Well, the square numbers are 2, 4, 9, 16, so on. So we're looking for one of those. Now I can see that 19 is 9 times 2. Now that's great. So now I can break that up into square root of 9 times the square root of 2. Now the square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 2 just stays square root of 2. And the other way around. So it's 3 times the square root of 2 is the simplified exact answer.
So what we really do this on the test? I remember this.
If I ask for,
How much would this be like?
well, I don't, like I said, I don't like to focus too much on tests because it's more knowledge we want. But if they ask you for the exact answer, you have to give it in this form. So there'll be a mark for doing that. If they say give your answer to 3 significant figures, you have to do it to 3 significant figures, and there'll be a mark for doing that. If, however, it's part of a longer question where you have to use it for the next bit, you'll probably get away with just leaving it as the square root of 18 for part A, for instance. Okay, does that make sense? So I can't say to you, oh, it will always be that. It will always be that. You have to have the knowledge and be able to apply it in whichever way. Sorry, Leah, you had a question?
So what's the rule when it comes to square root things? Because you guys have 3.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do a bit on surds in a sec. Shall we just check on what we are aiming for, which is the distance? So this answer here would either be, what did we say? Sorry, you're getting me write it the wrong way around now. 3 root 2. 3 root 2 would be that answer. Or root 18. And that would be the distance between those 2 points, just the length of the line. Okay? So the distance between would be that. So you're using Pythagoras' theorem. Right? How could they make it more difficult? Well, they could just give you the coordinates and not draw the line. Right? Does that make sense? Okay.
Oh, I see.
Right, so what I've done, I'm just going to go through question 1. What I've done is taken the diagram and I've just drawn dots on my screen. I've not drawn the axis because actually the actual coordinates don't matter. It's just the distance between. So Maya asked a great question, which was, well, if one is the negative side, one is positive, does it matter? What do you do about it? And it doesn't, because with Pythagoras' theorem, when you square something, you get rid of the negative. So there is no negative distance between 2 points. It doesn't matter. It's always positive. So I've just drawn these as they are in the grid, but I'm ignoring the place. Now, looking at question A is the distance between A and B. Now, we could use Pythagoras' theorem. It works, but there is no need because the distance between A and B, because it's a vertical line, it's just 2 units, right? That's the distance. We counted the squares, but as Malai was saying, actually, if we do a squared plus b squared is c squared, well, we've got an a squared, which is 2. We've got no other part to the right angle triangle at all. So we've got 0 squared equals our c squared, which we said is the distance. So we've got, therefore, 2 squared is c squared, which makes c 2. So we get the same answer. Okay. We don't need to use it, but it doesn't matter if we do. So that's part A. D was just the same idea, but it's horizontal. So again, we've got 3 units. Simple as that. Well, we can. It doesn't. In a question, if they're not giving you units, it doesn't matter. If you just put 3, it's fine. Right. Now, G, however, is they're diagonally separated. So now we are going to have to use Pythagoras' theorem. Okay. So we've got the distance between those 2 points. So this time, and I've done them the same number of squares, we've got a distance of 4, and it goes up 3. Now, is there anyone that went, yeah, straight away answer without working anything out? And why? No?
A D thing where it's like 3, 4.
I
actually worked it out. But because then there's like
Yeah. Do you remember your Pythagorean triples? Again, if we did it, 3 squared plus 4 squared is c squared. You'll end up with 9 plus 16, which makes 25. So it makes 5. Okay? But it's one of those, again, that if you remember Pythagorean triples, we've got 3, 4, 5. You can do it without having to work anything out. Other triples, 6, 8, 10.
I said Shasti multiples of there. See, I was right.
Okay.
I just took sure.
Okay. What I'll do, I really do want to get on with equation through a point. So what I'll do is I'll go through, if you're okay with it, question 2a.
Okay. Can we try it by ourselves?
Have you not started already?
No, go finish in G.
Okay.
On A now.
Okay, let's go through this first one. Right, do you remember I said it doesn't matter whether it's positives or negatives and so on. So when we've got the 2 coordinates, really, it's a little bit different, it's a little bit easier than finding the gradient, because with the gradient you have to determine whether it's going up or down. But actually when you're finding the distance between the 2 points, we're not worried. So I just put, it's up to you, but I put A as my change in x and B is my change in y. Therefore, if I'm doing a squared plus b squared is c squared, c is what I want to find, I just do my change in x, well 3 to 2, 2 to 3 doesn't matter, so it's just 1 squared. Then I've got 5 and 6. Again, it's just 1 squared, which makes c squared. So then I've got 1 plus 1,
Which is 2.
so we've got 2. Which makes the answer, the distance between my 2 points, as the square root of 2. Okay?
Excuse me, what is the square root
But
of
the
2?
answer in the back says 1.41. That's what I'm
Okay, so if you do the square root of 2 on your calculator, you'll get 1.41.
Oh my life.
Okay, just to...
It'll be 2 times
can we... Let's go through just B then, the same way. Sorry, D. 2 minus 7, and M is 1 minus 2. So again, I'm just going to write, well, it's A squared plus B squared plus C squared. A squared is my x's, so 2 to 1 is just 1 again. Minus 7 to minus 2 is 5. Okay? Sorry, that should be an equal, shouldn't it? And that equals C squared. So then I've got 1 plus 25. So we've got C is the square root of 26. Okay? Now, the question is, can that be simplified?
No.
No, because there's no square number that multiplies to make 26. Okay? Alright?
So we should just leave 50 then.
Right. Again, yeah, you could put it as a decimal if it's asked for. Now, just hearing your conversation, if you end up with an answer of the square root of 50,
Hey, that was mine.
can that be simplified?
Yes. 2 thingamajiggies are 25.
Okay, so we've got 2 times 25, 25 being the square number, so I'm going to write it as root 25 times root 2, which makes 5 root 2. Okay, 5 times root 2. Any questions? No? Okay.
Base.
Go on.
Why did you put the 2 in the...
In here, because I've got the 2 here. I should have written it the other way around really, but it doesn't matter. The root 2 stays as root 2, because you can't do anything with that.
Oh, got you.
That's why it's exact form, because the root 2 would normally be a decimal. Okay. What I want to do now... No, I'm not going to do G. I really want to get through the equation of a line through a point. Now remember, if you're going to chat amongst yourselves, it takes longer. I need to get through this. We've got 8 minutes, or however long it takes. If you have to stay behind, so be it. Right, it's been a lot of chit-chat. I don't want to let you leave without understanding. Okay? So, I'm going to start with a basic situation, which is, what is the equation, okay, of a line with gradients for through point 8, 12.
Where's my blue pen?
Okay. So what I'm saying is, I'm telling you that we have a line. It has a gradient of 4. Okay, and it goes through a point 8, 12. I just want to know the equation of that. So you have multiple ways of doing it. And this is one of those questions people were struggling with. Let's just say, for instance, that 8, 12 was the midpoint that you've already identified, or it's just a point that they tell you. It could be any reason why that's the point.
Point what one?
Point slope form, okay? If you want to use point slope form, use me, the colours.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Is that the easiest one to know?
See, I would say, right, I'll be very clear. Point slope form is not on the syllabus to teach you.
So don't teach them.
But point slope form for me, as I explained at the time, I made it very clear. I asked you several times, made it very clear. Yeah, go on. I think it's very easy to use. So what we do with point slope form, we know it's y2 minus y1 equals, and the other reason I think it's a great one to get used to is because it might not be in this syllabus, but it is in your IB syllabus. So you either learn it now or you learn it then. I think learn it now and use it now, if it makes life easier. We'll do it both ways though. So what I do is, these coordinates that I'm given, I'm going to use as x1 and y1. So the y2 just becomes y minus 12 equals gradient of 4 times x minus x1 is 8. Okay. So I've got all of that. And then what we do is expand the brackets and simplify. So I've got y minus 12 equals 4x, 4 times x, minus 32. And then we just have to do it so that y is on its own. So we have add 12, okay, to both sides. So we've got y, yeah, let's see, that's it. It's much easier than having to find the c. So we've got minus 32 add 12 is minus 20. So c is found before doing it. Okay? That's why I think it's easier now. I will admit I never used it until now, but...
I like these questions.
Pardon? Say it again, please. I added 12, so minus 32 add 12, minus 12 add 12 gets rid of it. Okay. Now, to do it in the other methods, just so that you know, if I were to say it's y equals mx plus c, so gradient intercept form, we start with the fact that gradient is 4, so m is 4, we're given. So we have y equals 4x plus c. We then know that if we've got 8 and 12, okay, the 8 is the x, 12 is the y, okay. It's not the y-intercept because it's not when x is 0. So what we'll do is, have I written that the right way around? Yeah. I've written. So now, I've literally written the stuff I've been told, so I'm going to replace y with 12, and it's 4 times whatever x is, so 4 times 8 plus something, so now I've got 12 equals 32 plus something. And it just so happens, has to be 32 minus 20 makes the 12. So C has to be the minus 20. Okay? Which I then write as y equals 4x minus 20. So we do, here we would do minus 32. What's your question?
In the test, will it tell you to use a specific marker?
Like I say, because point slope form is not in the syllabus, it will not expect you to use it, but it doesn't specify you can't. It just says find the equation of the line.
So you can use that or the other one?
Yep, you choose whichever way. The one I wouldn't be using for this type of question is the general form. Because general form, the ax plus by 0, doesn't have immediately gradient in it. Now, what was confusing some people was, let's say that we now know that we've got y equals 4x minus 20. What if I said to you L2 is perpendicular? Okay. And also, goes through 8, 12.
Three has nature. Three has nature, right?
So, basically, we've only got one minor thing to do to be able to get to exactly the same point, which is, if the line is perpendicular,
It has to
Oh.
flip everything.
Whoa.
it's a bit dark, isn't it?
So it has to be negative, it goes through the line over a quarter, negative a quarter.
Okay, so we know that we've got the gradient, because it's perpendicular, will be, so m equals minus 1 over 4.
I'm
Okay.
confused how you get that.
Well, that's what we talked about. If the gradient is 4, you take the negative reciprocal. Yeah? Yeah? Well, it'll be on the video when as well. I can email you notes and the video. So if that's the gradient, we're now at the stage of just saying either or. Which one would you prefer to use? MX plus C or point slope form? Okay. So it's y minus 12 equals, this time, minus a quarter times x minus 8. So that's the difference, because it's perpendicular. So then we do y minus 12 equals minus a quarter x, and then minus times will be plus a quarter of 8 is 2. No, I'm sorry, the way is not the problem, because you've seen negatives and fractions, you're saying it's hard, but actually mx plus c has the same negatives and fractions. Okay? Exactly. So we've just got to do a quarter of x, negative a quarter x, negative a quarter of 8, and then what do we do now? Add 12 exactly the same way. Y equals okay. That's right. You're OCD enough. Spelling, I should have my.
Yeah, we said that like a long time ago.
I did hear it. I tried to ignore it. Let's just go through. So don't pack up, because I've been waiting for you lot to chat and chat and chat, and you're going to annoy my form group now. But I'm going to do it. MX plus good. You'll be. You had an appointment with me. MX plus C again. If it's again, we know it's minus a quarter x plus c. We know it goes to 8, 12. Same question, different methods. So I'm going to do it. It's y is 12, so 12 equals minus a quarter times 8 plus something. So you got 12 is minus a quarter times 8 is minus 2 plus what makes 12? 14. So C is 14. So you get exactly the same answer either way. Okay?
Exactly.